Chapter 328. Yang Feng hesitated for a moment. Then, following Gleistar's instructions, he descended from the sky and landed on the ground. Yang Feng took out a dragon skin belt and tied Gleistar in front of him. At the same time, he tied Ezramia on his back with a dragon skin belt. When Ezramia was on Yang Feng's back, she immediately uttered a cry, blushed, and powerlessly collapsed on Yang Feng's back. The black curse rune between her eyebrows glowed with a gloomy light. Yang Feng took out a piece of black dragon skin paper and shook it slightly. The dragon skin paper flashed with demonic light and turned into a black unicorn with lifeless eyes. With a light leap, Yang Feng flew onto the black unicorn demonic horse and shook the reins, and the black unicorn demonic horse made from alchemy quickly galloped into the distance. On the Feisua plane, magic had all kinds of miraculous powers. The magic artifacts left behind by some alchemists were even more miraculous than the technological creations of Earth. Ezramia and Gleistar were bigwigs of elves and dark elves respectively, and they were extremely knowledgeable. Naturally, they wouldn't be surprised by a trifling black unicorn. While riding the black unicorn, Yang Feng took out vials of insect-repellent potions from a storage ring and sprinkled them on the three of them. The insect-repellent potions Yang Feng obtained from the dark elves of the Tyrannid subcontinent's underground world. Although the strength of the dark elves of the Tyrannid subcontinent's underground world was far inferior to that of the dark elves of the Feisua plane. However, they had also lived in the underground world for many years, and were very interested in making various insect-repellent potions. Gleistar looked at Yang Feng in surprise, and her evaluation of him rose by a few notches. Along the way, under Gleistar's guidance, Yang Feng avoided one dangerous area after another and cautiously walked towards the surface world. Nourished by the liquid metal nano-robot elixir and various potions, Gleistar's severed limbs finally began to slowly grow back. It would only take 10 days for her severed limbs to fully recover. Ezramia was very surprised by Gleistar's recovery speed. His limbs had been severed. Unless he used the best level 4 healing magic, only the best potions could heal him so quickly. Ezramia's injuries, on the other hand, became even more difficult to recover from. Whenever the potion entered her body, the weird curse between her eyebrows would absorb more than half of its power, and the remaining power would begin to repair her body, making her recovery extremely slow. In a corner of the Feisua plane's underground world, the space distorted, and a blond, burly young man walked out of the space. He looked at the surroundings, showed a smile, looked into the distance, and muttered in a low voice, "According to the calculations of the old guys, that thing should appear in the near future. If I can get that thing, I will be able to dominate a region when I return to the Zhangji plain." After he finished speaking, the young man was shrouded in endless darkness, and he disappeared completely. In another corner of the Feisua plain, a tall and burly young man dressed in oriental attire, with black hair tied into a single ponytail, a large blade on his back, and a lascivious aura walked slowly on the ground. Suddenly, the oriental man stopped and closed his eyes. After a while, he opened his eyes, and his eyes radiated bright light. I sensed it. Sure enough, that thing has begun to appear. The figure of the oriental man blurred, and he rushed towards the dark forest, a forbidden area of the dark elves. In every corner of the Feisua plane, powerhouses from other planes appeared one after another and moved towards the dark forest. In the underground world shrouded in endless darkness, an alchemical demonic eagle with solidified night vision flew in the sky. Its eyes flickered with mystical light, and it took in everything in its surroundings. A group of dark elves riding a large group of tamed extraordinary demonic beast dark demonic leopards walked in a huge mushroom forest. Surrounded by the large group of dark elf warriors, a dark elf powerhouse with blonde hair, plump buttocks, and a sexy and hot figure, with only some pitch-black leaf armor covering her vital parts, exposed large areas of her smooth skin, suddenly looked up. Her eyes locked onto the alchemy demonic eagle in the sky, and she very nimbly took out a magic bow and shot an arrow into the sky. With a flash of pitch-black light, the arrow pierced through the alchemical demonic eagle flying in the sky like a meteor. With a loud boom, the alchemical demonic eagle was blown to pieces by a terrifying force, and turned into countless fragments that scattered on the ground. In a huge mushroom forest in the distance, Yang Feng frowned slightly, and his eyes flashed with worry, saying slowly, "The scout eagle was destroyed. The dark elves came so quickly." Through the scout eagle, Yang Feng saw countless dark elven experts coming from all directions to surround him. If it was just Yang Feng alone, he would have countless ways to easily escape the dark elven encirclement. But as Ramia had been hit by the extremely vicious curse kiss of Lolth, unless he abandoned her, Yang Feng would have no way of escaping. The dark elven experts pouring in from all directions had formed a huge encirclement. If Yang Feng broke through the encirclement, only death would await him. Who is this person? Yang Feng waved his hand, and magic radiances flickered and formed the figure of the beautiful dark elven woman who shot the alchemical demonic eagle midair. Under Yang Feng's control, the alchemical demonic eagle was very careful, yet it was still shot dead by an arrow from the beautiful dark elven woman. Yang Feng instinctively felt that the beautiful dark elven woman was very dangerous. Gleistar frowned slightly, her eyes flashed with graveness, and she said unhurriedly, "She is Charity, an expert of the new generation of dark elves, the commander of the Dark Leopard Cavalry Corps, and a pinnacle legend rank expert. She is one of the most cunning, cruel, and powerful dark elven experts. If she presides over the encirclement, then we'll be in danger." Yang Feng frowned slightly and suddenly asked, "Pinnacle legend rank? Why didn't Dolores come?" Dolores was a demigod rank expert. If she came in person, then Yang Feng's group of 3 disabled patients wouldn't be her match. Perhaps a level 3 warlock like Yang Feng wouldn't be taken seriously by a terrifying expert like Dolores, but the great elven monarch Ezramia was definitely worth Dolores taking action. If Dolores captured Ezramia alive and sacrificed her soul to the goddess Lolth, then Dolores would reap great benefits. She might even gain the favor of the goddess Lolth and promote to one of the gods of the dark elven divine system. Gleistar's eyebrows arched slightly, her beautiful eyes flashed with determination, and she stared coldly at Ezramia. "We entered the Moonlight Tree through a teleportation portal opened by an abyssal fiend in the surface world. With Dolores's speed, it would take at least 5 days to return here from that place. Master, in our current state, we won't be able to escape Dolores's pursuit with the burden of Ezramia. Please make up your mind to kill her. Whether it's for her or for us, this is the best choice. After she dies, the elven gods will naturally help her eliminate the curse of the goddess Lolth." Ezramia shrank back slightly, her pretty face changed several times, and finally, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of unswerving determination. She sighed faintly. "Ian, as Gleistar said, you won't be able to escape the pursuit of the dark elves with me. Kill me now. This is the best choice for both you and me." The curse of the kiss of Lolth turned Ezramia into a big light bulb. No matter where she fled, she wouldn't be able to escape the pursuit of the dark elven powerhouses. Once the advanced demigod rank expert Dolores returned, Yang Feng's group of 3 would have no leeway to fight back. "Hehe, we have to try to know. We still haven't reached the end of the line yet." Yang Feng smiled confidently, pulled the reins, turned the horse around, and galloped towards the dark forest. There were traces of dark elves in all directions. He could only move towards the dark forest to see if he could borrow the power of the forbidden area to block the dark elves and buy more time. They're escaping. They're escaping in the direction of the dark forest. Charity carefully looked at the mirror of Lolth in her hand for a while, then her eyes flashed with a decisive glint. She took out a communications crystal and ordered coldly, "Hannah, Polly, you 2 immediately take people to cut off the path of retreat of the blasphemers to the dark forest." "Yes." 2 delicate shouts brimming with heroic spirit came from the communications crystal. Charity whistled, and a 7-meter-tall legend-rank demonic beast flying scorpion lion with a lion's head, a scorpion's tail, and a pair of wings on its ribs flew over from the sky, exuding a fierce and ferocious aura. Charity leaped lightly and immediately jumped onto the legend-rank demonic beast flying scorpion lion. The flying scorpion lion flapped its wings and quickly flew towards Yang Feng's party along with a gust of wind. As a legend-rank demonic beast, The flying scorpion lion was extremely fast. In less than an hour, it caught up with Yang Feng's party. Chapter 329. Meteor-like black arrows dropped from the sky and shot towards Yang Feng. Superior warping force field. Yang Feng pointed with a finger, and a fearsome warping force field suddenly appeared and blocked midair. When the black arrows hit the warping force field, they were ricocheted, fell to the ground, and exploded like missiles, blasting open holes in the ground. A gust of wind blew, and the legend-ranked demonic beast flying scorpion lion dropped from the sky and blocked Yang Feng and company's escape route to the dark forest. Charity glanced at Yang Feng's group of three and revealed a smile. A human archwizard, the great elven monarch Xianxia, and the former Pope Gleistar. "Hello, I am Charity. Please stay here and wait for a while." Gleistar's beautiful eyes shimmered with graveness, and she said solemnly, "Charity, for the sake of me taking care of you in the past, will you please step aside?" Charity's eyes flashed fiercely and viciously, and she uttered with a seductive smile, "Gleistar, you traitor. You betrayed the great goddess Lolth and were abandoned by her. What qualifications do you have to talk to me? After I catch you, I'll torture you. After you've suffered enough, I'll offer you as a living sacrifice to the great goddess Lolth. The goddess will definitely be very happy." The gods of the darkness divine system dominated their believers with terror, massacre, bloodshed, and fear, forcing believers to fear and worship them. At the same time, blood sacrifices, live sacrifices, and other sacrificial methods emerged endlessly in the darkness divine system. This was why they were rejected by the other gods of the Feisua plane. If it wasn't for the fact that the gods of the darkness divine system weren't weak, the gods of the darkness divine system would have already been wiped out by the gods of other divine systems. Even so, once the believers of the darkness divine system appeared in the surface world, they would be besieged by the believers of other gods. Charity stuck out her pink tongue and licked her lips seductively. She said seductively, "As for you, Ian, as long as you hand over those two women, I'll let you have some fun. I have 30,000 dark elven beauties under my command. As long as you hand over those two women to me, you can play with those 30,000 beauties. I guarantee that you will taste the bliss of the world." Yang Feng pressed his chest. The dragon leather belt on his chest rolled up, and Gleistar, who was in front of him, was turned behind him and pressed against Xianxia. When Xianxia smelled Gleistar's enchanting fragrance that could kill both men and women, the black rune between her eyebrows blossomed with extremely wicked light, causing her tender body to tremble and her pretty face to flush. She could only resist the waves of heat inside her with her great willpower. Yang Feng willed, and the black dragon armor he wore released black light and promoted his cultivation base until it reached the great warlock realm. "Are you going to fight me, Ian? Why bother? My job is to stall you. This mission doesn't require a battle to complete." Charity smiled and pressed down on the flying scorpion lion beneath her. The flying scorpion lion flapped its wings and flew into the sky along with a gust of wind. "What a cunning fellow!" Yang Feng was startled. As long as Charity flew into the sky and fired continuously, he would be forced to use the black dragon armor to maintain his great warlock rank battle prowess to deal with her. With Yang Feng's current physique, even if he used the black dragon armor, he could only maintain his great warlock rank battle prowess for about an hour at most. After an hour, if Yang Feng didn't use the various battle robots inside the dimensional badge, only death would await him. His thoughts revolved lightning fast, and Yang Feng pressed the dimensional badge on his chest. A 10-meter-long mechanical aurora lightning python covered in pure white scales, with a pair of wings on its ribs, a horn on its head, and a lightning rune engraved on its forehead suddenly appeared. Xianxia was startled when she saw the mechanical aurora lightning python that suddenly appeared, and her beautiful eyes shimmered with astonishment. "That's a legend-rank demonic beast. What kind of treasure is that? It can actually contain living beings?" Legend-rank demonic beasts were very rare on the Feisua plane. Only major races like elves and dark elves would rear a few in captivity. Yang Feng, who was just an archwizard, actually possessed an aurora lightning python, a legend-rank demonic beast that was practically extinct on the Feisua plane. This was simply terrifying. Moreover, treasures that could contain living beings were very rare on the Feisua plain. In the entire elven race, there were no more than 3 such treasures. As expected of Master, he's really unfathomable. He has so many trump cards. Gleistar's beautiful eyes flashed with excitement. Dark elves respected the strong. Now that Gleistar had become Yangfeng's subordinate, the stronger he was, the happier she was and the more she approved of him. Yang Feng jumped onto the back of the mechanical Aurora lightning python, and the mechanical Aurora lightning python was shrouded in arcs of lightning. With a burst of crackling electric arcs, the mechanical Aurora lightning python was like a railgun. Amidst the countless electric arcs, it ferociously slammed into the back of the flying scorpion lion in an instant. It opened its jaws and ruthlessly bit down, directly crushing half of the flying scorpion lion's body. Charity's reaction speed was terrifying. At the moment of imminent peril, she jumped from the back of the flying scorpion lion, shot towards Yang Feng, and mercilessly kicked him in the face. Yang Feng unleashed the level 4 spell dragon force. As if he had incarnated into a humanoid dragon, endless power surged from all over his body, and he slammed his fist into Charity's slender leg. Boom! A fearsome explosion sounded from the place where their fists and legs collided, and Charity was sent flying into the distance like a broken rag doll. Yang Feng's body only shook slightly. Clearly, he had the upper hand in terms of strength. The mechanical lightning Aurora python bit down on the flying scorpion lion's body, its huge body tightly wrapping around the flying scorpion lion. It frantically strangled the flying scorpion lion, causing the flying scorpion lion to let out a miserable cry. Yang Feng's thoughts revolved lightning fast, and he uttered a magic sentence. In a flash, the level 2 spell wind control was unleashed. Surrounded by a strong wind, he flew to the head of the flying scorpion lion, took out a secret treasure sword forged from divine blood steel, and mercilessly stabbed. The secret treasure longsword forged from divine blood steel was incomparably sharp. Only a peerless demigod powerhouse like Ciceron, who possessed the sea god's bloodline and demon's bloodline, had terrifying bones that could withstand that secret treasure longsword. Although the flying scorpion lion was powerful, but it was only a legend-rank demigod-rank powerhouse. Its bones couldn't resist the secret treasure sword forged from divine blood steel. The secret treasure sword pierced through the flying scorpion lion's hard skull, entered its head, and twisted madly, crushing the flying scorpion lion's brain into pieces. When the flying scorpion lion's brain was crushed, its body only trembled a few times, and then it was twisted into a pile of minced meat by the mechanical Aurora lightning python. Yang Feng raised his hand and put the flying scorpion lion's corpse into a storage ring. The flying scorpion lion was a legend-rank demigod. Its fleshly body could be made into a mechanical battle beast. Its blood meridian could also be extracted and used to produce the necessary blood meridian essence of the blood meridian warlock flying scorpion lion family. In the Great Cloud Dynasty, warlock knowledge could be found everywhere. However, it wasn't that simple to become an official warlock. The vast majority of people were still ordinary people. The flying scorpion lion's blood meridian could allow people to evolve to the great warlock rank at most. It was a precious blood meridian. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Charity cast Imperial Wind, turned into a hurricane, landed on the ground, and then cast the level 4 spell blink one after another. Flickering, she disappeared into the mushroom forest. Yang Feng glanced at the mushroom forest and creased his eyebrows slightly. In that very short period of time, Charity's aura had completely disappeared. Unless Yang Feng used a special method to release countless mechanical insects to cover the mushroom forest, it would be impossible to find traces of Charity. Otherwise, with the spells he currently mastered, it would still be very difficult to quickly find Charity hiding in the mushroom forest. Yang Feng's thoughts revolved, and he made his choice. Riding the mechanical Aurora lightning python, he rushed towards the dark forest. Along with a rumble, the mechanical Aurora lightning python brushed past the mushroom forest and flew away, startling the countless extraordinary demonic insects and extraordinary life forms inhabiting the mushroom forest. After the mechanical Aurora lightning python passed through the mushroom forest, a figure flashed through the mushroom forest. With a light leap, she landed on the top of a huge mushroom like a leaf. It was Charity. Charity looked at Yangfeng's back from afar, her beautiful eyes shimmered with a bewitching glint, and she revealed a smile. This Ian really isn't simple. It seems that he's far from an ordinary arch-wizard. However, this isn't bad. I can borrow his hand to eradicate the two little bitches Hannah and Polly. In this way, the position of commander will be as stable as a mountain. After Yang Feng piloted the mechanical Aurora lightning python for several kilometers, he dropped from the sky and landed on the ground. After storing the mechanical Aurora lightning python into the dimensional badge, Yang Feng switched to the black wildebeest and continued to move towards the dark forest. The Aurora lightning python was surrounded by electricity. In this dark underground world, it was like a beacon. It attracted countless demonic insects and all kinds of powerful extraordinary life forms with phototaxis. It wasn't a means of transportation that could be moved for a long time in the underground world. Chapter 330. Fire. Yang Feng and his party had just arrived near a shrub when a dense rain of arrows suddenly shot towards them from the shrub. Advanced warping force field. Yang Feng grabbed a secret treasure shield forged from divine blood steel in one hand, silently recited an incantation, and pointed at the sky. A strange and formidable warping force field suddenly appeared in front of Yang Feng. More than 99% of the arrows shot from the shrub were twisted and ricocheted aside. Only one arrow containing terrifying legend rank power hit the secret treasure shield in Yang Feng's hand. Boom! Along with a blare, the secret treasure shield in Yang Feng's hand shook, and a terrifying force transmitted from the shield into the black wildebeest below him. The black demonic wildebeest's body was directly shattered and turned into countless pieces of demonic skin that splattered in all directions. After all, the black wildebeest was just a level 1 alchemical secret treasure. It couldn't withstand the terrifying power of a great warlock rank spell. The center of the shield forged from divine blood steel in Yang Feng's hand caved in slightly, showing how terrifying the legend rank archer in the shrub was. Dark rays. Weakness. Darkness deterrence. Fear. Fireball. A dense rain of spells barreled towards Yang Feng. Most of the spells that slammed into Yang Feng were shattered by the terrifying life force field protecting him. However, the spells were constantly consuming his life force field. Once a warlock condensed a soul seed and became an official warlock, a terrifying life force field would surround the surface of their body. This was one of the basic extraordinary innate abilities of an official warlock. This extraordinary innate ability would strengthen along with the increase in the warlock's strength. Even level 3 spells would find it difficult to destroy the life force field of a great warlock. Only level 4 single-target offensive spells might be able to break the life force field of a great warlock. With the help of the Black Dragon armor, Yang Feng possessed great warlock rank strength for a short period of time. His life force field was also very powerful and terrifying, and could resist most low-level spells. But releasing his own life force would also be neutralized and consumed by the low-level spell. If Yang Feng was alone, he could rely on the extraordinary Black Dragon's blood meridians to disregard those low-level spells. But behind him were Ezramia and Gleistar. If he didn't release his life force field, he would be unscathed, but the two women behind him would be blasted into dregs. Yang Feng patted the dimensional badge on his chest, and the mechanical lightning Aurora python suddenly flew out. With a light leap, he landed on the back of the mechanical lightning Aurora python. Rumble! Countless electric arcs flickered, and the mechanical lightning Aurora python flew into the sky at a terrifying speed that surpassed the speed of sound. Virtually all the arrows brushed past the mechanical lightning Aurora python. Only a black arrow containing legend rank power pierced through the void, stabbed the force field surrounding the mechanical lightning Aurora python, and stabbed the abdomen of the mechanical lightning Aurora python, penetrated its scales, and sank into the superalloy deck forged from divine blood steel. Boom! The black arrow exploded, and the frightening power caused the mechanical lightning Aurora python to shake slightly. Dark exploding arrow was one of the most powerful secret archery arts of the Dark Elves. The arrow contained dark force. Once it pierced an object, it would detonate, and its might was extremely frightening. If Yang Feng hadn't used divine blood steel to comprehensively strengthen the mechanical lightning aurora python, this arrow would have seriously injured it. It's impolite not to reciprocate. I'll let you have a taste of my power. A fierce glint flashed past Yang Feng's eyes, and a vast dragon might spread from him. He opened his mouth and belched a black dragon breath that shot towards the direction from which the dark arrow came from lightning fast. The black dragon breath flew at an astonishing speed. Practically in an instant, it arrived in the mushroom forest and barreled towards a beautiful dark elven beauty with a sexy figure. The pretty face of the dark elven beauty with legend rank cultivation base flickered, and she reached out and grabbed a dark elven beauty beside her to block the black dragon's breath. The dark elven beauty with level 3 warlock rank strength, who was used as a shield, was engulfed by the black dragon's dragon breath. She uttered extremely mournful screams, and then abruptly stopped as she was burned to ashes. The dark elven beauty with legend rank cultivation base rolled on the ground and dodged the terrifying black dragon breath. But her reaction was still a bit slow, and her right hand was grazed by the black dragon breath. As if maggots on a bone, the black dragon breath spread along her right hand and devoured her flesh. The dark elven beauty spun the sword in her hand and decisively cut off the flesh on her right hand that was corroded by the black dragon breath. Blood flowed, revealing ghastly white bones. The dark elven beauty swept her right hand that was corroded by the black dragon breath, and her beautiful eyes flickered with an enigmatic light, as expected of an expert who made the great matriarch eat a loss. Sure enough, this Ian isn't an ordinary archwizard. The might of that dragon breath isn't inferior to that of an adult black dragon. Charity had me and Polly intercept him. It seems that she wants to kill him with a borrowed knife. Framing and killing each other had never stopped among the dark elven race. What the goddess Lolth liked the most was to watch dark elven geniuses kill each other. On the one hand, it was because she was cruel by nature. On the other hand, when dark elven geniuses killed each other, their souls would return to her divine country and become her toys, servants, slaves, and troops. In addition, fratricide could also enhance the strength of dark elves. At the same time, it would cause internal strife, making it impossible for them to unite and contend against her rule. Hannah only blocked it for a moment. After discovering Yang Feng's strength and terror, she gave up on the idea of sniping him with all her might. A dark elven beauty walked up to Hannah and asked, "Lady Hannah, what should we do now?" Hannah's thoughts revolved lightning fast, and she ordered, "Continue the pursuit." The dark elven beauty responded respectfully, "Yes, sir." The 5,000 dark elven warriors riding dark leopards ran out of the mushroom forest and chased after Yang Feng from afar. Hannah, riding a dark leopard, moved unhurriedly among the crowd, showing no intention of pursuing Yang Feng by herself. She was well aware that following a large group was the safest choice. After breaking through Hannah's interception, Yang Feng landed on the ground, switched to another black wildebeest, and rushed towards the entrance of the dark forest day and night. The dark forest was located in the deepest part of the 9th floor of the Feisua Plains underground world. The dark forest was shrouded in a black fog all year round. Shrouded by the black fog, even dark elves with innate night vision could hardly see more than 10 meters away. Moreover, the black fog restrained all kinds of spells. Without the two powerful weapons, archery and magic, dark elves felt as if their hands had been chopped off in the dark forest. There were also countless terrifying demonic plants in the dark forest. Even many legend-rank dark elves who entered the dark forest died. There were even demigod-rank dark elven heroes who entered the dark forest, never to return. In the end, under the divine decree, the dark forest became a forbidden area for dark elves. No dark elves were allowed to enter. After breaking through the obstruction of Hannah and her party, Yang Feng and his party quickly arrived at the real entrance to the dark forest. Yang Feng looked at the dark forest, frowned slightly, and his eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. This is the dark forest. There were countless huge ancient trees growing in the dark forest. The huge ancient trees seemed to run through heaven and earth, piercing through the 9th floor of the underground world and growing towards the 8th floor of the underground world. Needles, sawtooth-like leaves, weird tree vines, huge man-eating flowers, and all kinds of branches brimming with dangerous auras and characteristics of dangerous extraordinary plants extended from the huge ancient trees. With his keen eyesight, Yang Feng could vaguely see eerie and strange skeletons hanging on the branches of the ancient tree. By relying on the keen intuition of a level 3 warlock, Yang Feng could feel the waves of dangerous aura coming from the dark forest. Even someone as powerful as him could die in the dark forest if he wasn't careful. Gleistar took a look at the dark forest, frowned slightly and said solemnly, "Master, kill Ezramia." The dark forest was too dangerous. The dark forest was said to be the dwelling place of an existence of the Xianxia plane, which was even more terrifying than devils and fiends. Even gods were not its opponent. Even deities who entered the dark forest could fall. This is a forbidden area. It's too dangerous for us to enter. A peculiar glint flashed in Yang Feng's eyes, and he quickly made a judgment. In the Xianxia plane, existences stronger than gods are terrifying existences above the glorious Dawn Warlock rank. No, since this dark forest has not been invaded by anyone. In that case, the strength of this existence should be above that of a great divine power god. In other words, this is a relic site of a warlock monarch rank powerhouse. Chapter 331. Warlock monarchs were fearsome existences of the Xianxia plane that could contend against mighty divine force rank gods. Even in the 8 warlock dynasties, warlock monarchs were the pinnacle powerhouses. After the collapse of the 8 warlock dynasties, warlock monarchs were the strongest powerhouses of the Xianxia plane for a long period of time. Every warlock monarch possessed the terrifying power to move mountains and drain seas, pluck stars and grab moons, and destroy a plane. After the collapse of the 8th warlock dynasty, the Xianxia plane's warlock civilization declined a lot. It has been more than 10,000 years since the birth of a new warlock monarch. At present, the strongest known powerhouses of the Xianxia plane were merely infinity warlocks. Even if some treasures casually leaked out from a relic site of a warlock monarch rank powerhouse, it would still be able to benefit the little warlock Yang Feng greatly. Of course, a relic site of a warlock monarch rank powerhouse was extremely dangerous, and even gods might die inside. Warlock monarch rank powerhouses could completely suppress their terrifying life force field. But that was only when they were alive. But once they were on the verge of death, they could no longer suppress their power, and their terrifying life force field would combine with the surrounding environment and form all kinds of frightening and strange phenomena. The various frightening and strange phenomena formed by the dissipation of life force before the death of a warlock monarch rank powerhouse could even kill gods. Yang Feng only thought for a moment before dispelling the idea of treasure hunting in the dark forest. He was well aware that this was the dark forest, a place where even god-rank powerhouses could die, and a god-rank powerhouse could squash him to death with a finger. At most, he could only move around in the periphery of the dark forest. If he entered the dark forest, he would undoubtedly die. Ezramia hugged Yang Feng and sighed faintly, saying, "Ian, as Gleistar said, the dark forest is a dangerous forbidden area that even the gods fear. You should just kill me. In this way, I can still be reborn in the divine country of the mighty gods." Yang Feng sneered, "Hehe, reborn in the divine country of the gods? That's when your soul is received into the divine country. Most of your memories and feelings will disappear, and some will even disappear completely. The new memories and feelings were given to you by God. Would you still be the real you if you were reborn like that?" Once the soul of a powerhouse like Ezramia returned to the divine country of a god, if there was no special reason, most of her memories would be erased and instilled with all kinds of memories and feelings loyal to the gods, turning her into a tool that could evolve in the hands of the gods. It was not impossible to be reborn in the divine kingdom of the gods and retain the emotions and memories from when they were alive. However, it required a large amount of divine power or the use of treasures with special nomological powers to achieve that. Unless there was a special reason, the gods wouldn't do that. Slightly startled, Xianxia exclaimed, "How do you know this secret?" This secret was only circulated in a small circle of powerhouses, and Xianxia learned of it by chance. She didn't know how Yang Feng knew this secret that could shake the foundation of the gods. Yang Feng smiled and said nothing. This was a secret for the people of the Feisua Plain, but for the Zhangji Plain's demonic fighting sect and the other 9 great sects, it was just common sense. This was the huge difference in information between the 2 planes. "Let's go." Yang Feng hesitated for a moment, then clenched his teeth and stepped into the dark forest with Xianxia and Gleistar on his back. As soon as Yang Feng stepped into the entrance of the dark forest, strange ripples rose in the space there, and a twisted black face suddenly appeared in the void, revealing a strange smile. The backs of Yang Feng and his party disappeared. The path leading to the inside of the dark forest covered in rotten leaves was empty, as if no one had entered. Shortly after Yang Feng and his party entered the dark forest, a 5,000-strong dark elven army riding dark leopards, led by a beautiful dark elf with a curvy waist, stopped in front of the entrance of the dark forest. A beautiful dark elven warrior came to the side of the dazzling dark elven powerhouse and respectfully asked, "Lady Polly, what should we do now?" Polly took a deep look at the depths of the dark forest, and her gaze fell on the path full of fallen leaves and exuding the smell of decay, yet devoid of footprints. Her beautiful eyes shimmered with apprehension, and she said solemnly, "Let's wait outside for them to come out." Another beautiful dark elven warrior frowned and said solemnly, "Madam Polly, Commander Charity ordered us to chase after Ian. Ian has escaped inside. We should chase after him." Polly's beautiful eyes flashed with an incomparably cold murderous intent, but she said with a smile, "That makes sense. In that case, Diana, take your group of people and immediately go inside to track Ian's traces. This is an order, don't disobey." Diana's pretty complexion changed, and her beautiful eyes shimmered with fear. "Madam Polly, this?" The dark forest was a terrifying and perilous place where even divine spirit experts would fall if they entered its depths. Diana only possessed level 3 warlock rank strength. Once she entered the dark forest, she would most likely die. Polly smiled gloomily, her beautiful eyes shimmered with killing intent, and she uttered while stressing each syllable, "Dina, this is an order. Do you want to disobey it?" Diana was a spy planted by Charity in Polly's side, and Polly had been looking for an opportunity to eradicate her for a long time. Now that she got such a good opportunity, Polly naturally wouldn't let her go. Polly's confidants and personal guards surrounded Diana, and their beautiful eyes shimmered with frigid killing intent. Diana gritted her teeth and said with a look of helplessness and hatred, "Yes, Madam Polly. I'll take my men inside." Polly said coldly, "Don't dawdle, go inside at once." "Madam Polly." Under Polly's urging, Diana quickly gathered her troops and entered the dark forest one by one. The dark elven warriors saw strange ripples set off in space, and then Diana and the other dark elven warriors disappeared into the ripples. As if they were swallowed by something, they didn't appear on the other side. When the dark elven warriors saw this scene, a chill welled up in their hearts, and no one proposed to enter the dark forest again. Hannah came from the rear with 5,000 dark elven warriors. When she saw Polly, she asked, "Polly, why didn't you take anyone inside?" Polly said with a sweet smile, "I already sent people inside to track Ian and them. Hannah, since you're here, then I'll give you the credit for hunting down Ian." Hannah took a deep look at the dark forest, and her beautiful eyes shimmered with apprehension. She instinctively felt the great terror lurking inside the dark forest. Hannah suddenly said with a smile, "In that case, I'll stay here and help you, Polly." Polly also smiled slightly, "Okay." The nearly 10,000 dark elven warriors immediately surrounded the entrance to the dark forest, and no one dared to rashly enter the dark forest. "What are you two doing? Didn't I order you to pursue Ian and them? Why are you still here?" Commanding the main force of the Dark Leopard Corps, Charity came from the rear. When she found Hannah and Polly, she berated them sternly. Polly immediately reported, "Great Commander, I've sent people into the dark forest to track Ian and them. As long as there's news of them, I'll send people inside to support them." Charity frowned and said coldly, "This is a divine decree from the great goddess Lolth. Ian and the other two must be captured at all costs. I order you two to enter the dark forest and continue to pursue Ian." A cold glint flashed in Hannah's eyes, and she said with a cold smile, "Yes, great commander. However, the dark forest is too dangerous. The two of us and our subordinates are a little understaffed. Great commander, please enter the dark forest with us." Polly also said with a cold smile, "That's right. We're too weak by ourselves. Great commander, please enter the dark forest with us." Anger flashed in Charity's beautiful eyes, and she said coldly, "You take the people inside first, I'll follow." A cold glint flashed in Polly's eyes, and she said aggressively, "That won't do. Even if it's you, great commander, if you violate the divine decree, won't you end up badly? Let's go in together, great commander. No need to argue. Let's all go in together." Accompanied by a cold yet alluring voice, the charming and coquettish Dolores slowly walked in, a fragrance wafting from her. "Greetings, great matriarch." When Charity and the other two saw Dolores, their pretty faces changed, and they lowered their heads and said respectfully. Dolores was a frightening advanced demigod rank powerhouse. In the era when gods stood high above the stars, she was one of the most powerful people in the Fesua Plains secular world. After Pope Gleistar was declared a traitor, she grasped practically all the power of the Dark Elves. Dolores said in a cold voice, "Have all your subordinates go in. You come with me. This time, we must capture Ian and them. No, whether dead or alive, Ezramia must not be allowed to leave the underground world alive. Otherwise, you'll all be made into evil spirit dolls." When they heard that, Charity and the other two stiffened, and their beautiful eyes filled with fear. The evil spirit puppet dolls were monsters made from living dark elves using all kinds of evil secret methods. The method used to make the evil spirit puppet dolls was cruel, bloody, and terrifying to the extreme. It was one of the most vicious punishments of the dark elven race. Chapter 332. Charity's eyes flashed with unswerving determination, and she said resolutely, "Yes. Great matriarch, we'll do our best to prevent Ezramia from leaving the underground world alive." Charity would rather die than be made into an evil spirit puppet doll. If she died, she could be reborn in Goddess Loltha's divine country. But once she was made into an evil spirit puppet doll, she would live a life worse than death, living in endless pain and torture. That was the cruelest thing. Hannah's group of two also said resolutely, "Great matriarch, we won't let Ezramia leave the underground world alive at all costs." Under the orders of Charity and the other two commanders, the Dark Leopard Corps entered the Dark Forest. As if a terrifying monster, the Dark Forest devoured the Dark Leopard Corps. When all the warriors of the Dark Demonic Leopard Corps disappeared into the Dark Forest, a strange demonic face suddenly appeared and revealed a sinister smile. "A bunch of idiots. This is the place where he once stayed. It's not time yet, so even gods don't dare to enter. What a bunch of uncultured barbarians." A young man with black hair and yellow skin, tied into a ponytail, dressed like an oriental swordsman, unhurriedly walked out of the void, took a deep look at the Dark Forest, and revealed a contemptuous smile. Then he revealed a contemplative expression. "However, the Dark Elves really deserve their reputation. Every one of them is a beauty. Compared to us humans, they are much stronger. Since I've come to this plane, I must have a good taste of the legendary Dark Elves." "Someone else is coming." The eyes of the young man dressed like an oriental swordsman congealed, then ripples enveloped him and he disappeared. A tall and burly man, looking like a bear, trod on two black clouds, ran all the way from the horizon and plunged into the Dark Forest. Not long after, a golden-haired, blue-eyed man flew over from afar and disappeared into the Dark Forest. One after another, powerhouses from different places entered the Dark Forest. As soon as Yang Feng stepped into the Dark Forest, he felt as if he was shrouded in a thick fog. He frowned slightly, keenly sensing that his connection with the weave had been severed. The weave was an existence created by the goddess of the weave by relying on the laws of the plane. It was said that it covered the entire plain and was everywhere. Even the elven race's moonlight tree could borrow the power of the weave. The dense fog of the dark forest cut off the connection between Yang Feng and the weave, indicating that the level of power contained in the dark forest may even surpass that of the goddess of the weave. Fortunately, I'm not a wizard of the Feisua plane, or else I wouldn't be able to use spells. But even so, the power of many spells cast here will be pitifully weak. Yang Feng silently recited an incantation and cast the level 0 spell Mage Hand. Shortly after the transparent Mage Hand took shape, it collapsed and disappeared. This phenomenon made Yang Feng crease his eyebrows slightly. Logia and elemental spells use the caster's spirit force as the source of power and the spell model as the core to communicate with the mysterious laws of the plane and mobilize the vigor of heaven and earth to produce all kinds of powerful and miraculous phenomena. It was with the help of the power of heaven and earth that the spells of wizards and warlocks were so powerful that they could easily insta-kill body-tempering martial artists of the same rank. However, in places with abnormal plane laws and abnormal vigor of heaven and earth, the strength of wizards would be weakened to a pitiful extent. Warlocks, on the other hand, had extremely tyrannical fleshly bodies after continuous evolution. They could quickly adapt to any environment, which was one of the strongest aspects of human warlocks. I am Yang Feng from the Zhangji Plain. I came to the Feisua Plain to hunt demigods. All of a sudden, the faces of babies appeared on a large tree. Strange laughter came from the faces of the babies. How could this be? Yang Feng's heart shook, his body trembled slightly, and fear and killing intent welled up inside him. Entering the Feisua Plain from the Zhangji Plain was one of Yang Feng's greatest secrets. No one on the Feisua Plain knew about this secret. Once it was known that Yang Feng came from the Zhangji Plain, everything he had on the Feisua Plain would be destroyed. Gleistar had betrayed her faith and lost all her power. At the same time, Goddess Lolth could no longer see or hear anything through her. Ezramia, on the other hand, was a believer of the elven gods. As long as the primary god she believed in looked at her, he would know everything about her with a thought. Only by killing Ezramia before the gaze of the primary god she believed in fell on her, and then destroying the memories of her soul, would Yang Feng have a chance at survival. I am Yang Feng, I came from Earth. My greatest reliance is the technology one inherited from the Shizu. The faces of the babies on the trees were grinning and their mouths were constantly opening and closing, revealing the secrets hidden in the depths of Yang Feng's heart that he was most afraid of being discovered by others. Don't say any more. You freaks. Eyes bloodshot. A fierce glint flashed past Yang Feng's eyes, and a bloodthirsty glint shrouded his eyes. He issued a fearsome roar, and wanted to rush over and smash the faces of the babies growing on the trees one by one. The host is being eroded by negative spirit force. Activating stimulation therapy. A sharp pain suddenly came from Yang Feng's sea of knowledge, making him, who was on the verge of erupting, hold his head in pain and gasp for breath. There were no sound fluctuations detected in the surroundings, it was just an illusion, the host. Just now, you were hit by an illusion, which was comparable to a level 5 spell. Because the spirit spell was too strange, the black dragon bloodline inside you could not completely offset the influence of the illusion. A line of information flashed in front of Yang Feng's eyes. Yang Feng was slightly alarmed, and cold sweat flowed down his back. So I was hit by an illusion, how strange. My black dragon bloodline didn't react. This illusion is really terrifying. Ancient black dragons were immune to the vast majority of spirit spells, and Yang Feng, who possessed the ancient black dragon bloodline, was immune to most spirit spells as well. Now, he was actually being eroded by that spiritual spell. The might of that spiritual spell was so strong and its rank was so high that it was simply shocking. When Yang Feng took a closer look at the tree full of baby faces, he saw a thick layer of bones under the tree full of baby faces. Countless skulls piled up on top of the decaying leaves, forming a strange and terrifying scene. Tree vines full of sharp thorns were scattered around the large tree. Once ordinary experts got close to the strange tree, They would be instantly pierced through by the tree vines full of sharp teeth. Yang Feng's complexion became very unsightly. He recognized the origin of the strange tree at a glance. This is a level 5 extraordinary plant babyface evil tree. The spirit spells released by the babyface evil tree can even unwittingly confuse gods. I'm sorry. I didn't want to. I really had no choice. I wanted to live. Jenna. Behind Yang Feng, Gleistar sobbed uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her face, her body trembled, and she screamed miserably. As Ramia also trembled and struggled behind Yang Feng, a look of pain and fear on her face. If it wasn't for the fact that she was seriously injured and couldn't muster any strength, she would have already seriously injured Yang Feng. With a thought, Yang Feng cast the innate level 4 spell Dragon Breath and belched a fearsome dragon breath that slammed into the strange baby-face evil tree in a flash. When the terrifying dragon breath landed on the baby-faced evil tree, raging flames engulfed the baby-faced evil tree. The baby-face evil tree issued mournful cries, and countless tree vines buried in the ground surged and stabbed towards Yang Feng. Yang Feng brandished the sword in his hand, and sword rays shone and turned into sword afterimages that shot towards the tree vines. The vines of the baby-face evil tree were severed, and a copious amount of blood-like sap shot out from the severed parts and scattered on the ground. Almost at the same time, a series of blood-curdling screams from the baby-face ghost tree rang out from within the black demonic mist. The mournful screams of the baby-faced evil trees resounded according to a certain rhythm, forming a strange sound wave that bombarded Yang Feng as well as Gleistar and Ramia on his back. Yang Feng felt a stifling sensation in his chest, a fishy taste in his throat, and a mouthful of blood spewed out of his mouth. His complexion turned extremely pale. Blood with a slightly fishy smell flowed down Yang Feng's back and dripped on him. Clearly, Ramia and Gleistar were seriously injured. Yang Feng gritted his teeth and raised his hand, and a 5x5 black magic tent suddenly appeared. He drilled into the magic tent. As soon as he entered the magic tent, the ear-piercing screams of the babies subsided by a lot. Yang Feng went to a corner of the magic tent and kept adding magic stones to it. Only with sufficient magic stones could the magic tent withstand the baby-face ghost tree's soundless mental attack and strange whistling sound. The baby-face ghost tree that was hit by the dragon breath screamed in pain and struggled. In the end, it was completely devoured by the dragon breath and turned into ashes. The spirit attacks of the baby-face evil tree were silent and impossible to guard against. Even god-rank powerhouses could be hit by them if they were careless. However, the baby-face evil tree feared fire the most, and a dragon breath could burn it to ashes. Chapter 333. Many extraordinary life forms had weaknesses. Some transcendent creatures were powerful but stupid. Some transcendent creatures were afraid of fire. Some transcendent creatures were afraid of sunlight. Some transcendent creatures were afraid of water. By finding the weaknesses of those extraordinary life forms, it would be easy for the weak to defeat the strong. The reason why the Xianxia Plains human warlocks conquered countless plains was because the human warlocks absorbed the knowledge of the countless plains and formed a unique warlock cultivation system. No matter what kind of harsh environment they were in, they wouldn't lose their fighting strength. In some special plains, where the vigor of heaven and earth was in disorder, wizards or life forms specializing in magic were extremely weak. However, warlocks could still possess a powerful physique comparable to that of extraordinary life forms. In this fog, the vigor of heaven and earth was blocked by a mysterious force, making it nearly impossible to cast spells. If it was an elemental warlock, they would find it difficult to cast spells, and could only rely on their tyrannical physique to fight. However, for a bloodline warlock like Yang Feng, he could stimulate the power of his bloodline and cast various innate spells. After the baby-face evil tree was burned to ashes, Yang Feng heaved a slight sigh of relief and withdrew into the magic tent. Yang Feng looked at Gleistar and asked quickly, "The dark forest is very dangerous. We'll stay here for now. After you've fully recovered, we'll find a way to get out." When will you be able to restore your demigod rank cultivation base, Gleistar? A terrifying existence like the baby face evil tree had already appeared in the periphery of the dark forest. Who knew what terrifying existences were in the deepest part of the dark forest? Yang Feng wasn't arrogant enough to think that he could do better than those gods. Gleistar's beautiful eyes dimmed, and she sighed faintly, "No." The power to break through to the demigod rank came from the goddess Lolth. Now the goddess Lolth deprived me of this power, unless another true god accepts me and gives me enough divine power. Otherwise, even after I recover, I can only fight as a legend rank archer. The more powerful a clergyman was, the closer they were to the gods, and the more serious the divine power erosion. After losing the favor of the goddess Lolth, Gleistar was already very lucky not to die. It would be extremely difficult for her to restore her demigod rank cultivation base. Then we'll wait for you to recover your legendary level combat power before we find a way to leave this place. A look of exhaustion in his eyes, Yang Feng took out several vials of elixirs and poured them into his and Gleistar's mouths, and then closed his eyes to recuperate and restore his physical strength and spirit force. After drinking the potion, Gleistar closed her eyes and urged her power to repair her limbs. As Ramia looked at Yang Feng in a daze, and the bizarre light of the curse on her forehead dimmed a bit. Clearly, the demonic fog had a strong suppressive effect on her curse. Time elapsed, 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Yang Feng's group of 3 were holed up inside the small magic tent, as if stones, motionless. On the 3rd day, Yang Feng suddenly opened his eyes and pressed with his hand, and the magic dragon leather ribbons wrapped around Ramia and Gleistar and flew onto his back. The magic tent also became transparent, allowing people to see the scene outside from inside the tent. Ramia and Gleistar were smart women. When they saw that Yang Feng looked as if he was facing a great enemy, they remained motionless and vaguely guessed the truth of the matter. "Big sister Ramia, you're actually hiding here. It really took me a lot of effort to find you." A charming, alluring and enchanting voice came from the side, and the extremely enchanting and sexy dark elven great matriarch Dolores walked over with a smile on her face. Next to Dolores were 3 extremely beautiful dark elves. They were Charity, Hannah, and Polly. Dolores was untainted by even a speck of dust. It was as if she was taking a leisurely stroll in the dangerous dark forest. Charity and the other 2 were in tatters and riddled with scars. Their injuries were not light. The tens of thousands of dark elven warriors of the Dark Leopard Corps had already disappeared. Hiding inside the magic tent, Yang Feng looked outside and saw Dolores's enigmatic expression at a glance. Her gaze had already fallen on the magic tent enchanted with advanced stealth. Yang Feng's figure shook slightly, and he rushed out of the magic tent. Looking at Dolores in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, countless thoughts revolving in his mind. Dolores showed a bewitching smile, her beautiful eyes full of ridicule and delight. "Big sister Ramia, the most beautiful and honorable woman on the surface, your majesty the great elven monarch. You are in a very miserable state. I heard that you were hit by the cursed kiss of Lolth. That's really pitiful. After being hit by the spell kiss of Lolth, even the most chaste goddess will degenerate into the most lowly sow. I feel indescribable delight at the thought of the most honorable great elven monarch Ramia degenerating into the most lowly sow." In the battle in the Moonlight Square, the 2 demigod rank powerhouses Dolores and Gleistar besieged Ramia, yet they still weren't her match. That battle filled Dolores with jealousy of Ramia. Now, she felt indescribable delight at the thought that the person she regarded as her greatest enemy and rival was about to degenerate into the lowest rung. Ramia's pretty face turned extremely pale, she clenched her silver teeth, and her tender body trembled. Dolores revealed an expression of a cat toying with a mouse. She smiled charmingly and said viciously, "Big sister Ramia, don't worry. I won't hurt you. After the kiss of Lolth curse breaks out completely, I'll help you find 100 men. Of course, demonic beasts are fine as well. I'll let them satisfy you, and then send the magic image back to the elves. It must be very interesting." Face pale, As Ramia clenched her silver teeth and said, "Dolores, even if we're enemies, it's fine if you just kill me. Why do you have to be so vicious?" A trace of frustration streaked past the abyss of Dolores's beautiful eyes, and her charming face revealed a trace of ridicule. "Because I'm a dark elf. Isn't it the nature of us dark elves to be vicious, cunning, and cruel? Only the most vicious, cunning, and cruel people can win the favor of the great goddess." The competition among dark elves was extremely cruel. In order to rise to the top, they would resort to almost any means. Conspiracies, betrayals, and massacres ran through the history of every upper-class dark elf. In order to ascend to the throne of the great matriarch, Dolores had also piled up corpses beneath her feet. Dolores's beautiful eyes sparkled, and she smiled sweetly like a lover whispering in his ear, "Ian, give me these 2 women. As long as you give them to me, not only will I guarantee your safety, but I'll also let you have fun with them. One is the most outstanding woman of the elves, the great elven monarch, and the other is the former pope of the dark elven church. You can play with them as you please, and it doesn't matter even if you're done with them. As long as you offer them to me, then apart from me, I'll give you any woman of the dark elves you like to have fun with. How about Charity? She's a famous cold beauty among dark elves, and she's also a very rare virgin." Dolores gently grasped with her lily-white hand, and Charity, who was standing beside her, was involuntarily caught by her. She casually tapped Charity with a finger, and Charity's delicate body went limp. Her pretty face blushed, and she revealed an extremely flirtatious expression. She twisted her delicate snake-like body, exuding an astonishing charm. Charity's eyes shimmered with shame, but she couldn't muster any strength to stop Dolores. Yang Feng said unhurriedly, "Your proposal is very tempting." As Ramia's beautiful eyes shimmered dimly, and she sighed faintly in her heart. Gleistar's eyes swiveled, her thoughts unknown. Dolores glanced at Yang Feng, and the abyss of her beautiful eyes shimmered with contempt. In the end, men are only at this level. Yang Feng gave an unruly smile. His eyes flickered with a sharp glint, and he moved unscrupulously around Dolores's vitals. "However, I prefer to take the initiative. Pray that I take the initiative to catch makes me more excited. Besides, Dolores, I think it would be very interesting to catch you and make you my pet in the future." As Ramia covered her cherry lips and revealed a smile, a cold glint flashed past Dolores's beautiful eyes, and she sighed faintly, "Ian, I thought you were a smart person. Now it seems that you're just an idiot. In that case, go to hell." As Dolores spoke, Yang Feng suddenly burst out and shot towards the baby-face evil tree grove. "It's no use." Dolores smiled sweetly and pointed with her lily-white finger. Strange fluctuations of magic diffused from her fingertips, and then collapsed and disappeared. "I forgot that I can't cast spells in this environment. However, the gap in strength between you and me is like a moat. No matter how you struggle, I'll crush you to death like an ant." Dolores showed a flirtatious smile, took a step forward, crossed a distance of hundreds of meters, and appeared behind Yang Feng. Her lily-white palm, carrying no trace of smoke or fire, slapped towards Yang Feng's head. Baby faces strangely appeared on the surrounding trees, and a burst of laughter that didn't exist suddenly sounded in the forest. Dolores's beautiful eyes shimmered with confusion, and she stiffened and stopped in place. Chapter 334. The host is being eroded by negative spirit force. Activating stimulation therapy. Just as Yang Feng was about to lose himself in the illusion of the baby-face evil trees, a sharp pain rose in his sea of knowledge. He clenched his teeth and frantically rushed into the distance. During the past few days, Yang Feng didn't do nothing. He released a large number of mechanical insects to find a way out of the baby-face evil trees. Although he would still suffer from the mental attacks of the baby-face evil trees, but he wouldn't suffer from physical attacks. There were hundreds of baby-face evil trees in the forest, and Yang Feng didn't have the strength to spew more than 100 breaths of dragon breath. A series of strange laughter rang out from the baby-face ghost tree group. Every time he heard such laughter, Yang Feng felt a stabbing pain in his sea of knowledge. Amid the whirlpool of pain, Yang Feng clenched his teeth and madly dashed along the way. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a series of childlike screams rang out from the baby-face evil trees. Countless terrifying sound waves condensed into one and blasted toward the rear. Yang Feng took a look behind him and mused, "Did they make a move? I wonder who will win and who will lose this battle." Dolores was a terrifying high-level demigod powerhouse. If she was in the outside world, she could borrow the world's essence energy to cast all kinds of powerful spells. She could easily use fire spells to destroy the entire baby-face evil tree forest. But in the dark forest, every bit of power she used consumed her own power. Even if it was a demigod rank powerhouse, without any powerful treasures, it would be difficult to destroy the baby-face evil trees by relying on their own power. As soon as Yang Feng passed through the baby-face evil trees, a wasteland of bones exuding a strong stench of corpses appeared in front of him. Flocks of skeletons were linked together. They had a pair of skeletal wings and were riding a gust of wind. The skeletal crows were constantly flying among the skeletons. Bone demonic crows were undead life forms comparable to level 1 extraordinary life forms. They were strange undead life forms formed from the powerful life energy and death aura emitted by warlocks and the condensation of bones. A single demonic skeleton crow wasn't too terrifying. However, there were countless demonic skeleton crows in the wasteland of bones. It was as though they covered the entire sky. As soon as Yang Feng and his party stepped into the wilderness of bones, as if smelling prey, the dense crowd of bone crows flapped their wings and flew towards them like dark clouds. Yang Feng's complexion changed greatly. He pressed the dimensional crest on his chest, and a 10-meter-tall, remodeled obsidian golem suddenly appeared in front of him. With a light leap, he jumped into the chest of the obsidian golem with Xianxia on his back. The obsidian golem's magic patterns flickered, and it cast advanced aura masking and mimicry. The aura of Yang Feng's group of 3 was completely concealed, and the obsidian golem's external appearance changed into a huge giant skeleton. The dense crowd of bone crows lost their target, and then circled around the obsidian golem transformed into a giant skeleton. Many bone crows landed on the obsidian golem transformed into a giant skeleton, looking like they were resting. The place where Yang Feng's group of 3 previously stood was occupied by countless bone crows. Looking outside through the obsidian golem, Yang Feng's group of 3 could see countless bone crows occupying the surroundings. The dense crowd of bone crows could scare people with trypophobia half to death. When she saw the countless bone crows, Xianxia's scalp couldn't help but turn numb. Even if she was at her peak, she would have no choice but to retreat when she encountered the terrifying flock of skeletal demonic crows. If she went all out and fought to the death, then even someone as tyrannical as her would eventually die of exhaustion. The wasteland of bones suddenly trembled violently. A skeletal demonic crow that was dozens of meters long with a body made of dragon bones and a skull of a giant on top of its head suddenly flew out from the endless skeletons. It was a skeletal demonic crow with a white jade-like luster. The huge bone crow exuded frightening starry sky warlock rank might. The frightening fluctuations of power emitted by the bone crow were even several times stronger than Xianxia's. When Yang Feng's group of 3 hiding inside the obsidian golem saw the frightening bone crow, their countenances suddenly changed dramatically, and they fell silent. In the wilderness of bones, even if Xianxia came here at her peak, she might not be the opponent of the starry sky warlock rank bone crow. Yang Feng looked at the starry sky warlock rank bone crow with a dignified glint in his eyes. What a fearsome fellow! How powerful was the former master of the dark forest? Just a trace of his life force fluctuations reached the periphery, yet such a fearsome monster was born. Squawk! The starry sky warlock rank bone crow suddenly opened its maw, dark soul flames flickered in its skull-like eye sockets, and it issued a strange shriek. Squawk! All of a sudden, the dense flock of skeletal devil crows began to cry out. The cries of countless bone crows reverberated in the wilderness of bones. Combining with the cries of the starry sky warlock rank bone crow, they formed a strange soul sound wave that reverberated in the area. When Yang Feng heard the strange cries, his heart suddenly throbbed strangely, his body trembled uncontrollably, and the soul seed in his sea of knowledge shook slightly. The host's soul is shaken. According to the current strength analysis, the host's soul seed will shatter after 10 minutes, and the host's soul will leave the body and die. Immediately cut off the sound transmission. The inside of the obsidian golem quickly formed a vacuum layer, which cut off the soul trill. When the strange sound disappeared completely, Yang Feng felt that he could control his body. A wet feeling came from his face. Yang Feng wiped it with his hand, and his palm was covered in blood. Yang Feng looked at the blood in his hand, frowned, and his eyes shimmered with apprehension. How dangerous! I almost died. Furthermore, I died in an unclear manner, without the power to fight back. The dark forest is really dangerous. The wilderness of bones was still the outermost part of the dark forest, yet the starry sky warlock rank Bone Crow was actually proficient in the level 5 spell soul shock sound wave. This greatly exceeded Yang Feng's expectations. If it wasn't for the smart chip implanted in Yang Feng and the black dragon armor, he would have died silently to the soul shock sound wave cast by the starry sky warlock rank Bone Crow. Suddenly, an incomparably tyrannical aura came from behind. Dolores, covered in wounds, forcibly rushed out of the baby-face evil tree forest. Dolores had just rushed out of the baby-face evil tree grove, when the strange sound wave that could shock people's souls slammed into her. Her soul shook wildly, and she stood in place, a look of pain on her pretty face. Wisps of dark force pervaded her body. On the Feisua plane, the powers that ordinary humans cultivated were called qi and magic, while experts of other races cultivated different secret methods. The power that dark elves cultivated was called dark force, the power that kindred cultivated was called blood energy, and the power that dragons cultivated was called dragon force. The power that Sangji Plains human warlocks cultivated was called life force. As time passed, blood slowly flowed out from the 7 orifices on Dolores's face. Traces of bright red blood flowed down her beautiful face, making her look like an extremely beautiful female ghost. Her beauty was mixed with great terror. Boom! Boom! Suddenly the earth shook, and a vast and boundless pressure gushed out from the deepest part of the dark forest. The starry sky warlock rank Bone Crow suddenly issued a mournful cry and plunged into the pile of bones. Countless bone crows suddenly flew up, pounced on the starry sky warlock rank Bone Crow, and formed a pile of bones on it. A mysterious gray aura slowly blew out from the dark forest. When the gray aura came into contact with the bone crows immediately collapsed and lost all signs of life. They turned into skeletons that scattered on the ground. Virtually in an instant, the gray aura hit the obsidian golem, and the spells cast on the obsidian golem immediately collapsed. The gray gas ignored the obsidian golem's outer armor, entered the cockpit, and blew towards Yang Feng, and a gloomy and cold feeling swept through him. When the gray aura blew at Azramia, the curse imprint on her forehead flickered, and as if about to collapse, it eventually dimmed. She suddenly felt her body become a lot more relaxed. Glystar, however, showed no reaction. Yang Feng pushed open the chest of the obsidian golem, rushed out, and pulled the trigger with the supergravity gun in his hand at Dolores in the distance. One after another, supergravity spheres shot out and bombarded Dolores's body. Boom! Dolores felt as if she was being pressed down by a mountain. Like a frog being run over by a car, she was pressed to the ground. Yang Feng opened his mouth and unleashed dragon breath. Suddenly, a fearsome dragon breath barreled towards Dolores like a meteor. Even if it was a demigod rank expert, once hit by the dragon breath, they would be seriously injured. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.